Hey, you. Welcome back to Secrets with Maeve, the space for the conversations we usually keep to ourselves. I'm Maeve. Today, we're talking about something I know so many of us struggle with in silence. She won't chase you. She'll do this instead. Let's get into it. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop giving her all your attention, she changes? Not slightly, but dramatically. You might think she's indifferent or even relieved. But what really happens when you ignore her is far more revealing than any words she could ever speak. Most men completely misread this. They see distance and assume loss. They see silence and panic. But I'm here to tell you the truth. What she does when you withdraw is her raw, unfiltered psychology on display. And if you understand it, you'll see the power you've been ignoring, power you didn't even realize you had. The first thing you need to understand is how women's minds are wired when it comes to attention. Attention isn't just nice. It's addictive. It's validation. It's emotional fuel. It's the currency of attraction. When a man disappears, even partially from her daily radar, the reaction is immediate, instinctual, and revealing. Her mind begins spinning because suddenly the easy certainty of your presence is gone, and certainty is safety. Remove it and you watch her brain scramble, trying to decode why, trying to regain control, trying to feel secure again. Most men mistake this for her losing interest, but the truth is the opposite. She is now compelled on a subconscious level to seek you out, and she will in ways that shock you. You'll notice subtle shifts. First, her text patterns change. The once eager, fast responses slow, but not because she's disinterested. No, she's recalculating, testing the limits, figuring out if your pullback is intentional. If she senses it's intentional, the most fascinating transformation begins. She starts to elevate her game. Suddenly, she's more attentive to her appearance, more conscious of the energy she brings when she's around you, even more calculated in the way she communicates. And here's the kicker. She's not doing this to manipulate you. She's doing this because your absence has triggered a very primitive instinct, scarcity. What is rare is valuable. What pulls away draws in. At this stage, you'll see the emotional intensity spike. Some women will become quieter, retreating into themselves, appearing aloof. Others will intensify their contact, sending longer, more emotionally charged messages. Some might even test you, subtly dropping hints of jealousy or talking about other men. Don't mistake these signals for betrayal or weakness. They're a direct mirror of what ignoring her triggers. Uncertainty. Your absence has created a vacuum in her mind, and the human brain hates a vacuum. She will fill it either by attempting to pull you back in or by reassessing what she feels. And every reaction is a window into her psyche. The most shocking behavior, the one that most men never see coming, is what I call the invisible pull. She might act indifferent. She might act irritated. She might even go silent. But behind the surface, she's observing, analyzing, strategizing. Her subconscious is running through scenarios, thinking about the last moments you spent together, recalling your words, your jokes, your touches. She's replaying every interaction like a movie in fast forward. And here's where it gets dangerous. For her emotional equilibrium, not for yours. Because when you hold your ground, when you don't chase, when you maintain your calm indifference, she experiences cognitive dissonance. She feels attraction, uncertainty, desire, frustration all at once. It's intense. And men who understand this can wield it consciously, without cruelty, without games, but with profound psychological clarity. And here's the truth most men never understand. Ignoring her doesn't make her love you. Ignoring her doesn't make her crave you magically. What it does is reveal her authentic response to you. It strips away superficial behavior, politeness, and social scripts. It shows you her raw self, unmasked, reacting to the reality that she cannot control you. That realization alone is enough to ignite desire, tension, and curiosity in ways that words or gifts never could. It's the ultimate test of her psychology and her attraction because now you are no longer a given. You are a variable she cannot predict. And when a woman cannot predict, she seeks. When a woman cannot control, she chases. So pay attention to what she does next. Every action, every text, every pause is a clue. And if you read these clues right, you'll not only understand her, you'll understand yourself. You'll see what men have been blind to for decades. True attraction is a dance of absence and presence. And when used consciously, it's a force more powerful than anything else in the dating world. Now that you understand the initial spark of her reaction, it's time to see what happens when you continue holding your ground. This is where most men lose their power because they misunderstand patience. They think pulling back is just about being cold or distant, but it's not. It's about creating space for her true behavior to emerge. Because when you step back, you are no longer feeding her predictable emotional diet. You've disrupted the system. And women, like anyone, react in unpredictable, sometimes shocking ways when their routines are disturbed. This is where the real psychology begins to surface. And what she does next can be both revealing and intoxicating. If you know what to look for, you'll notice a shift in her communication. Where there was once constant messaging, almost like clockwork, there may now be gaps, weeks of habit break, but don't misread the silence. Silence is the loudest signal she can send. It forces her to confront her own emotions, the longing, the curiosity, the subtle panic. She begins to ask herself questions she didn't realize she would. Why isn't he responding? Does he care? Am I losing him? And here's the truth you must hear. Those questions are proof that she still values you, proof that she's emotionally invested. Most men see silence and assume rejection, but in reality, her mind is working overtime, trying to recapture what she may not even consciously know she wants to lose. Next comes the testing phase, and this is where the dynamics get fascinating. She will begin to test your boundaries without even realizing it. Maybe she'll send a flirty text at a strange hour. Maybe she'll mention other men casually, not to provoke jealousy directly, but to see if she still affects you. Some will overcompensate with kindness, giving compliments, laughing a little too hard at your jokes, or mirroring your moods more closely than before. Others may retreat completely, as if the missing connection isn't worth her effort. Don't be fooled by either extreme. Both are signs of engagement. Both reveal her subconscious dance of desire and evaluation. She is trying to measure how real your independence is and how much she matters in your world. Then comes the emotional intensity, the stage where things often spiral and men begin to misinterpret everything. She may reach out unexpectedly, pouring her emotions into long, vulnerable messages, or she might act indifferent, almost daring you to chase. This is where your inner control becomes crucial. The more you remain calm, balanced, and self-assured, the more her emotions escalate. Why? Because humans are drawn to stability and security, but they are intrigued by mystery and challenge. Your steady presence through absence creates a psychological tension she can't resist. It forces her mind into hyper-focus. Every thought, every memory, every fleeting emotion centers on you, and she won't even fully understand why. Some men think this is manipulation, but it's not. It's observation, awareness, and strategic self-mastery. It's about seeing her authentic response, not controlling her. It's about understanding the laws of attraction that have existed long before social media, long before dating apps. These reactions are primal, instinctual, and predictable. Once you know the underlying psychology, and the most shocking behavior is still to come. She might start showing signs of impatience, subtly trying to provoke interaction. She may test your reaction through indirect challenges, a provocative story, a hint of drama, or a playful tease. Watch her closely. Every test is a mirror of her desire and her perception of your value. Finally, realize this. When you ignore her in the right way, you are not rejecting her. You are revealing yourself, your independence, and your emotional mastery. You are giving her the chance to see your worth without the fog of constant attention clouding her judgment. And the truth is, her reaction will show exactly where she stands. Not in words, not in promises, but in behavior. This is where clarity emerges. This is where the emotional reality of her feelings is unmasked. And if you pay attention, you will see patterns that most men never notice. Patterns that tell you everything about her attachment, her desire, and the depth of her feelings. The beauty of this stage is subtlety. It's not about grand gestures, arguments, or chasing. It's about stillness, observation, and quiet power. By doing nothing, you make her do everything. And in doing so, you reveal her truth and yours. Now, this is the part most men never see coming. The stage where her actions become unpredictable, intense, and frankly shocking. When a woman realizes that your attention is no longer a guarantee, something remarkable happens in her mind. Her instincts kick in, her emotions flare, and the behaviors that were once subtle start to become impossible to ignore. She begins to operate on a mix of desire, fear, and curiosity. And if you know what to watch for, this is the stage where you can see her authentic feelings more clearly than ever before. The first sign of escalation is what I call compelled visibility. She wants to know you're thinking of her, even if she won't admit it. You may notice her appearing in your social circles more often, commenting subtly on your posts, liking things she normally wouldn't, or dropping references that only you would notice. It's almost as if she's saying, "I'm here. Notice me." These actions aren't random. They're deeply subconscious signals. She's trying to gauge your emotional state, measure your interest, and provoke a response without actually asking for it. Every little move is a test, a probe into the unspoken connection you share. Then comes the emotional fluctuation. She might swing between intense warmth and cool distance. One day, her messages might be filled with playful teasing, longing undertones, or hints of intimacy. The next, she might vanish, leaving you with silence that feels like a punch to the chest. This is not manipulation. It's her mind grappling with the unknown. When you pulled back, you introduced uncertainty into her life. And humans, especially women in the context of attraction, hate uncertainty. It creates tension, heightens emotional awareness, and intensifies desire. She can't help herself. She's being pulled toward you without realizing it. Another behavior you'll see is subtle provocation. She may bring up other men in passing, not out of disinterest, but to test your reaction. She's measuring how secure, confident, and independent you truly are. This is psychological gold for any man who understands female behavior. If you panic, chase, or overreact, she sees instability. But if you remain composed, she experiences something far more powerful: respect, curiosity, and heightened attraction. Her mind begins to obsess over your response, analyzing each moment you spent together, each text, each laugh. And that obsession is the exact moment you gain leverage without ever forcing it, without playing games, simply by being aware of her psychology. You'll also notice increased emotional transparency as her mind works over time to process your absence. She starts revealing deeper feelings. Sometimes unintentionally, messages may become longer, stories more personal, or she may share thoughts and insecurities she would have never voiced before. This is her subconscious trying to maintain connection, to keep the emotional thread alive, to provoke a spark of acknowledgement from you. And here's the fascinating part. She doesn't even realize she's doing it. Her actions are primal, driven by desire, attachment, and the need for certainty. But in the process, she exposes her feelings, giving you insight that most men never get. Finally, The most striking shift happens in behavior around you in person. If you interact face to face, you'll notice subtle changes. The way she mirrors your movements, the way her tone softens, or how she leans in slightly when you speak. These micro behaviors are not conscious. They are the language of attraction amplified by the tension your absence created. You are now a variable she cannot control, and as humans, we are hardwired to pursue what feels scarce, valuable, and unpredictable. By ignoring her just enough, you've created a psychological environment where she is drawn to you, not by coercion, but by instinct, desire, and the unresolved tension you introduced. This is where most men lose the opportunity. They misinterpret intensity for drama, obsession for insecurity, and retreat for rejection. But if you understand these patterns, you can navigate them with confidence, without panic, and with the knowledge that her behavior is a reflection of your absence. Nothing more, nothing less. It's revealing, it's raw, and it's unfiltered. And when used wisely, it gives you unparalleled insight into female psychology, attraction, and emotional truth. By now, you're starting to see the full picture. Her behaviors are not random. They are precise reflections of how the female mind reacts to absence, uncertainty, and value. When you pull back, you create what psychologists call a gap in emotional predictability. Women are wired to notice patterns, to respond to stability, and to seek security. But when a man disrupts that pattern, when he steps back without panicking, something extraordinary happens. Her mind starts working in ways she doesn't even consciously realize. She begins to chase you, not out of calculation, not out of manipulation, but because the very act of pulling away triggers innate instincts she cannot resist. The first trigger is what we can call emotional scarcity. Scarcity is one of the most powerful psychological tools in human behavior. It doesn't matter how emotionally strong, independent, or self-sufficient a woman appears. When something she desires becomes scarce, her attention is automatically drawn to it. By not responding immediately, by not chasing, you introduce scarcity in the most natural, effortless way possible. Her mind begins to prioritize you. Every message she sends, every thought she entertains about you becomes intensified. Her desire is no longer casual. It is focused, specific, and urgent. And this is why ignoring her done correctly can amplify her attraction far more than constant attention ever could. Next comes the uncertainty trigger. Human brains crave predictability. When you suddenly withhold your usual responses, her brain experiences cognitive dissonance, a mismatch between expectation and reality. She feels tension, curiosity, and intrigue all at once. This tension is irresistible. It pushes her to think about you constantly, to replay memories, to analyze every word you ever said, and to test her influence over you. This is why you might notice her acting unpredictably, sending messages out of nowhere, or trying to engage with you in ways she normally wouldn't. It's not desperation, it's instinctive attention redirection caused by uncertainty. Another critical trigger is the validation loop. When you stop giving her attention, the validation she normally takes for granted disappears. She is forced to evaluate her own feelings. Does he care? Am I important to him? What would happen if he walked away completely? These questions, unspoken and subconscious, drive her behavior. She begins to mirror your energy, seeking to recapture your attention. And this is the moment men often fail. They overreact, chase, or become anxious. But if you remain steady, composed, and self-assured, she escalates her own efforts without you needing to do a single thing. You are no longer the pursuer. She is. Finally, the social and behavioral amplification occurs. Her mind starts aligning actions with emotion. She becomes more attentive to her appearance, more conscious of how she communicates, and subtly more focused on creating moments that could capture your interest. Her friends may notice her energy shift, her mood changes, or even her preoccupation with your presence. All of this is unconscious. It's driven by a combination of attraction, uncertainty, and the scarcity you introduced. And the most revealing moments are the small, almost invisible gestures, a lingering look, a pause in conversation, or a message sent just to see if you notice. What men must understand is this: these behaviors are not manipulative. They are natural responses. Ignoring her is not a game. It is a method to reveal her true psychology. It shows who she really values, how deeply she is emotionally invested, and the degree to which she is willing to pursue connection when it is no longer guaranteed. The patterns are there, consistent and undeniable. Once you recognize them, you gain an insight most men will never have. A lens into female desire that allows you to respond wisely, strategically, and powerfully without ever losing your own sense of control or value. And here's the truth that shocks most men. Women chase most intensely when you are present emotionally, but absent in expectation. They chase when they feel their power of influence is not absolute. They chase when they realize you are not a given, not because of manipulation, but because your independence triggers something deep within them. A primal draw to pursue, to test, to engage. This is the secret psychology most men miss entirely. Now we reach the stage where everything becomes undeniable. After you've held your ground, after you've observed, after the emotional escalation and subconscious triggers have done their work, the truth is revealed not in words, but in actions. This is where men either finally understand women or remain blind thinking. Attraction is all talk and compliments, but attraction is never about words alone. It's about energy, behavior, and response under uncertainty. And here, her behavior will tell you everything you need to know. The first unmistakable sign is persistence. She finds ways to maintain contact without being overt. She sends messages at times you wouldn't expect. Sometimes playful, sometimes almost vulnerable. She makes herself noticeable in subtle ways through social media, through mutual friends, even through shared spaces, because she wants to gauge your reaction to see if you notice, to see if you still matter. This is not random. It's deliberate, though unconscious. It's her mind saying, I care, and I want to know if he still cares too. If you can see these cues without overreacting, you gain insight into her genuine emotional investment. Next is intensity of attention. Notice how she listens, how she mirrors your energy, or how her focus shifts entirely when you are near. She becomes attuned to your moods, your words, your patterns without even consciously trying. Micro expressions, tone of voice, even pauses in conversation reveal her engagement. She may laugh a little more than usual, lean in when you speak, or subtly test your boundaries. These are not manipulations. They are instinctive behaviors that demonstrate her attraction and emotional investment. A woman who is not chasing will not exhibit this hyper-attentive alignment. Another undeniable signal is emotional vulnerability. At this stage, she may begin revealing thoughts or feelings she normally keeps private. She may share small frustrations, insecurities, or desires, sometimes in the guise of casual conversation, sometimes in long messages. These are windows into her subconscious. They are clues to her emotional state, showing that your absence has caused reflection, that your presence or lack thereof is meaningful. Every detail matters, every slight change in tone, every unplanned message, every subtle gesture is a reflection of the pull you created by simply not chasing. Then comes testing boundaries in subtle ways. She may bring up hypothetical scenarios, other men, or playful challenges, not to provoke conflict, but to see how secure you really are. If you remain calm, confident, and unshaken, her respect and attraction intensify. If you react with anxiety or overcompensation, her interest may waver. The pattern is clear. Her mind is evaluating, measuring, and instinctively responding to your emotional equilibrium. Men who understand this see tests as confirmation of attraction, not threats to it. This awareness changes the game entirely. Finally, the ultimate sign is action. She will seek ways to be around you, to engage, to reestablish connection, but she will do it on her terms. It may be subtle, a shared activity, an invitation to meet, a text that sparks curiosity, or it may be bold, a direct expression of interest or emotion that surprises you. The key is that all of this occurs because you created the conditions absence with emotional stability that compelled her to act. And if you recognize these signs, you gain clarity that most men never experience. The difference between superficial attraction and true emotional pursuit. So, here's your challenge right now. Think about her last reaction when you pulled back. Analyze it, decode it, and answer this equation in the comments. Her intensity x absence equals sign. Tell me what you think the result means about her desire. And make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to understand this psychology, because once you see this, there's no going back. Your understanding of female behavior, attraction, and emotional pursuit is completely transformed.